What's going on, everybody? Welcome to AJW, Average Joe's for Wrestling, part of the Supernova Brothers podcast. Today, we are going to be getting into a little bit of AEW and NXT like usual. We're going to get a little bit of the backlash that happened actually today, Sunday, June the 14th. Give us some thoughts. Not a whole lot because it's a WWE show. Everybody knows how I feel about WWE. I've been very anti-WWE pretty much since the existence of this podcast. So we're gonna probably touch on that, talk about Raw and SmackDown a little bit, and get back to. We had a challenge for this week too, right?
We did, yeah. It was what's your favorite
Wrestling City?
Yeah.
All right, and we'll do that at the end, of course, because that's how I like to do it. So, Matt, let's get into a little bit of Raw. What'd you like? What'd you like?
The only thing out of Raw that I thought was any good, honestly, was the Edge and Christian peep show type thing that was going on. Obviously, Orton, interfered with it, which was a normal thing to have happen anyway. It was kind of cool, though, because it kind of flipped the script on Edge, where Christian was kind of like the aggressor more so than just his buddy saying how great he was. So that was kind of cool there. He was just kind of like, get your shit together, like get your head in the right place, and then you're going to be able to beat Orton. Later on, we'll talk about what happens, because backlash did happen today. But, no, I thought that was pretty good. Charlotte Flair's still wrestling on every show except for NXT, I think, now. The women's title, I'm sorry, they make Asuka look like a punk, and I don't understand the reason why. And it's just all Charlotte Flair nonstop, pushing it down your throat like they did Roman Reigns a few years ago. And it's just honestly, it makes you not even want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, being someone who really hasn't watched any WWE at all, really. A lot of the things I saw, I did find the Edge and Christian peep show very interesting. I kind of like they kind of brought Christian back for that, though he can't wrestle. It's nice to see him doing some in-ring stuff as far as promos are concerned. For him to play the role that he is, I mean, I feel like it was good for the rivalry. It's going to set up something big for Sunday. Again, I can't say I watched it because it's hard for me to sit down and watch a WWE show, but we'll have to wait and see. Anything else you liked about Raw? Or
No.
I did like.
Honestly.
I'm glad Charlotte Flair wasn't on NXT. And we'll get into NXT and AEW now because this is the Wednesday Night Wars. This is my favorite night of the week to watch wrestling is Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a good night.
There was a nice match that Dakota Kai had. I can't remember her opponent off the top of my head. Oh, it was Nikki Costanza, that girl who won American Ninja Warrior, and she became a WWE wrestler. Very interesting match. I think Nikki's got a lot to learn as trying to be a professional wrestler, because especially a lot of the moves that they did were slow. Thankfully, Dakota Kai is, she's a pretty decent wrestler, I think. So I like where I'm going to get to at the end here, but she kind of carried her through the match. It was an okay match. Dakota Kai, who everyone thought was going to be like the next Bayley, is actually a pretty good heel. She's in a good spot, and now she's going against another person I like a lot in this NXT Women's Division, Shotzi Blackheart. She comes out in a fucking tank, dude. She comes out in a tank, a little mini tank. And how can you not love her? So it was pretty cool. She had her. She comes out to try to help out Nikki I think her name is Nikki. She keeps beating her up, this and that, and the third, and then Shotzi Blackheart comes to help her, and then her muscle, Maria, I don't know, some Spanish lady. She's pretty cool, though. She comes in and just fucking takes the show. She takes her, fucking slams her down, fucks her up. That's basically the end of that segment. It's going to set up a good rivalry between Dakota Kai and Shotzi Blackheart. Do you know anything about either one of these two wrestlers, or the comment, or?
I believe they fought on In Your House, didn't they?
I believe so. And part of that,
I think it was a three-way match, right?
It was like a three-way or a 2v2 tag team match. They put them in a weird
something
situation.
like that. Watching them wrestle, I don't think any of them were really bad. I hate to say NXT's where where talent are being created, because in reality it's its own branded show now, so it's really not a talent creation.
If you think about it, it's way better than anything Raw or SmackDown's putting on.
It's more indie, is what it is. It's more like you're getting more of like an indie vibe from it than what you are on the mainstream WWE product. Which, I mean, let's face it, Triple H is running it. That's probably why. Slate. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about real quick. Paul Heyman is no longer head of setting up storylines and shit for Raw anymore.
I was hoping you were going to bring that up. I forgot about that till right now.
Yeah.
Little late and off topic, but that's definitely duly noted. But somebody we referred to of last week, Finn Balor, man, he looked like a beast against Cameron Grimes. I bet he's going right now on a little bit of a revenge tour, I guess you can call it, because Cameron Grimes is some guy who defeated him. I don't know how long ago, but he defeated him. And this is where I went on I think right after this, I went on my tirade about how I think Finn Balor needs to go to AEW and how I wish he'd go to a different brand so he can be more exposed. So to see him come out there against Cameron Grimes, just basically massacre the guy, had a very good match. You never can doubt Finn Balor to have a good match. It's just you got to use him properly. And this whole heel character he's got with the fucking fingers and shit, I'm all for it. I love it. I just wish it was in a different company than WWE.
Isn't it like a throwback to him in like the Bullet Club kind of?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge Finn Balor fan. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, it's the greatest thing ever." I'm not a huge fan of it. I get where they're trying to go, but I think it's gonna just be like the Good Brothers. It's gonna kind of run its course, and nobody's gonna give a shit anymore.
Exactly.
And the real big problem with it is him. What was it, Damian Priest, that he fought at in your house?
Another fucking dominant match.
That was a great match. That was a really good match. I think that Damian Priest should. I think Damian Priest. He lost that match, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
I think he should have won it, but
he should have. But at the same time, if you're gonna push this, if you're gonna have this guy come from WWE to go down to NXT, you got to give him the spotlight. He's got to be the guy. He's gonna be the AJ Styles of NXT.
I mean, but isn't this building towards him and Adam Cole having another match? Is what it is.
Yes, and that's where we're actually getting into now. Good segue, because we're gonna get into Adam Cole versus Dexter Lumis, which is probably, other than the Cameron Grimes Finn Balor, this is probably one of my favorite matches of the night. Because Dexter Lumis, I've seen some of his bar wrestling stuff. He's got this good persona. He has got this Army Ranger haircut, bleach blonde, and he's got this blonde mustache that's right here. And the dude and he's got these piercing eyes, and he's just a big jack dude. He's got to be 6'5", 6'6", 230, 240, just muscle. This guy's a tank. Huge fan of him. I was really enjoying his match. He reminds me of an unmasked Kane a little bit, but a little more agile. Going against a smaller Shawn Michaels character lookalike like Adam Cole, it was a good match to have. Adam Cole comes out the victor, but at the end of the match, we get a little bit of a lights out moment, and you're thinking, oh, fuck, what is it? What's going to happen here? Here comes Scarlett Bordeaux with a fucking one of them sand time with sand or whatever. Takes it on the mat, flips it around, and they're basically saying, Adam Cole, your NXT run's coming to an end because Karrion Kross is coming for you. So I'm interested to see that. It's gonna be weird because if you're gonna do an Adam Cole versus Finn Balor match that we were just discussing a little bit ago, are you gonna have him lose to Karrion Kross and keep staying undefeated, or are you gonna have him drop the Karrion Kross and get a Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor feud? And then you're going to give Finn Balor an L, because how are you going to have this guy win the belt and then his first defense against Finn Balor take the L?
Yeah, and that's that's kind of the sad part. Unfortunately, with the reign that Adam Cole's had and for as long as he's had it, that's kind of the bad thing, is that whoever he drops it to, if it's not somebody coming up rather than somebody who's already been there, it kind of defeats the purpose of him dropping the title in the first place.
And I think if he drops the title all in all, I think it's kind of leaning towards the Undisputed Era no longer has the tag team belt, so it might get them pushed up to the main roster where they probably need desperate need of something new.
I think that's where it's going, but also Adam Cole's contract is up.
In
and
August.
there's a lot of talks to him possibly going over to AEW because of Britt Baker. So I mean, do I really want to see Adam Cole in AEW?
Oh yeah.
No, not really. To be honest with you, not really. Because I think he's what kind of keeps NXT grounded right now, like where it still feels indie because your champion feels indie.
But if
You know what I mean?
if you see the work that he does with the Young Bucks, he's stupid if
Oh,
they give him
sure.
a crazy offer not
I'm
to
sure.
go there.
I'm sure.
So for me to say that I'd rather him not go to AEW is blasphemous to me. It's very blasphemous because he's only going to make that brand so much better than it already is.
Yeah.
If he was to convert over to AEW, it's going to be like if Shawn Michaels went to WCW or Undertaker went to WCW because it's going to be that big of a deal because he's like one of the stars in these Wednesday night wars we're having between AEW and NXT.
I mean, he very well could go over. I mean, his girlfriend's there. He's going to want to spend more time, and the schedule's later.
And speaking of the Young Bucks, they actually had a face-to-face with FTR. This was probably one of the beginning segments of AEW. FTR versus Butcher and the Blade. Also, fantastic match. I didn't like some of the spots they did. They looked a little sloppy, but I think it was all okay. We never worked with these guys before, and we're going to do it on live television. Could have done better, yes, because it is, it's televised. It was all pre-recorded, so you could have did it a little bit better. But at the same time, I loved the match. It was really good. It was hard hitting. I like that they're actually no longer doing the Shatter Machine as their tag team finish. They're doing a spike pile driver. So Dawson has them in like a pile driver, and Cash is coming down, and boom! Oh, it's a nice throwback. They made a lot of references to in the crowd. They had Jake the Snake, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard all like watching them. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's a possibility of Shawn Spears and other FTR combining forces. I can see it happening.
Well, they're saying now that there's I mean, like I was watching Ups and Downs not that long ago, and he was saying that there's a very good likelihood they're going to try to do like a Four Horsemen reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be like the squad, basically, like the main squad. Which, I mean, granted, I love the Four Horsemen in WCW. Like, I thought it was fantastic. You know, like Benoit, Perry Saturn, fucking, I'm trying to think who else was in there. Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko.
You're thinking of like the later Four Horsemen. You're not thinking of the original.
Yeah. No, not the original. No, I know the original.
Like when I think Four Horsemen, I don't think of that Four Horsemen. I think of the original one with Flair.
Yeah,
totally. Like that. The new Four Horsemen you're referring to. That's not the Four Horsemen.
It was good though. It was good TV.
It was okay, but it wasn't the Four Horsemen. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And then something else I want to kind of touch on a little bit. We had a lot of really good promos during the AEW show. Being that a lot of people can't make it on the show to wrestle due to the COVID-19 and everyone's still kind of manning their social distancing status and everything. I do want to point out the Joey Janela Sunny Kiss video. Hilarious. I loved it. Joey, what are you doing? I'm drinking. Get in the car, Joey. It was just so stupid, but it's totally a Joey Janela thing, and I'm a huge Joey Janela fan. So to see Joey Janela doing that, I'd like to see what happens if Sunny Kiss, Joey Janela tag team was to form. I mean, I'm not opposed to it whatsoever.
Well, they've worked together before.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
he's worked with a lot of these people that are on this roster
yeah. Well, I mean, you figure like they were saying that like he was even talking about like he's had all these like epic hardcore matches, and he feels like he's just kind of went stagnant since he's been in AEW.
Just about, yeah.
And unfortunately, like it really is kind of true.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
but I think he's going to catch. I think once they kind of get everything established and everything, I feel like they're going to give him more of the spotlight.
Yeah, I think AEW realizes what they have.
Someone who got the spotlight this week was for the TNT title. It was the main event of the evening. It was Mark Quinn versus Cody Rhodes for the TNT title. And, it wasn't bad it wasn't a bad match. I personally didn't care for it. I did like some of the spots, though, that Mark Quinn did. He kind of played that injury pretty well. I did like the finish as well. The submission finish was really neat. It was just, there was some times where I was just like, this is maybe going on about the same time as the Adam Cole, Dexter Lumis match. And to be honest, I really like that match a lot more. Nothing against Mark Quinn. The reason I really got into this is the post match. You got Jake Hager coming out looking like he's gonna go and attack him. There was a little bit of a brawl. So we're gonna see possible Jake Hager versus Cody Rhodes, and I think they did confirm Jake Hager versus Cody Rhodes at Fyter Fest. So that's going to be a hell of a match to see.
That's going to be real good.
It's going to be MMA wrestling versus old school 80s Southern wrestling. It's going to be...
Yeah, it's going to be good. Very good.
It's going to be very good, but something else that's very good, Matthew. We got Jon Moxley doing a nice interview outside, just arriving in the building, talking some shit. All of a sudden, Taz comes in talking some shit. Out of nowhere comes Brian Cage. They have this nice brawl on the outside, both getting some clean shots, but Brian Cage ends up getting them in the end and fucks him up. Ends up giving him like this backdrop on the back of the car, shattering the mirror. And Jon Moxley, like, he was in pain, but you know he liked it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know he liked it. And it's just going to make this rivalry between them pretty good. I mean, Fyter Fest isn't until like July. So we still got all this to kind of build up to. And there's more that's going to be going into it. And plus Taz, I would actually kind of see if Taz gets his ass beat. If so, I'm kind of interested in seeing how that goes. The Human Suplex Machine has never seen any, like, to me, I haven't seen any real in-ring action from the Human Suplex Machine in forever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, Taz, I'm going to say this. I was watching it, like, reading some articles and stuff online earlier. Like, people were, like, really trashing Taz. Like, oh, whenever he starts getting upset, he doesn't know how to talk, yada, yada, yada. Dude, that dude is a killer on a microphone. I don't care what anybody says.
I like what he says.
From ECW on, he has been a killer on a microphone. His whole, like, character was built off of the interviews that he did, or promos that he did. It was fantastic. And, like, the way he came out to Moxley and was just like, shut the fuck up. Like, he wasn't even like, dude, just stop running your mouth. Like, you know, like, he wasn't all nice about it and shit. Like, and that's what I don't know. Like, I love Taz. Like, Taz is probably one of my favorite wrestlers, like, from back in the day. And, like, just to see him, like, even be a part of something like this at this point and, like, you know, have the exposure that he's had doing this, I'm cool with it. I like it. I think they should bring Conan in for something, like, personally, but that's just me.
I would too, but Conan's a little kind of caught up into some MLW stuff right now. So let's get into SmackDown. SmackDown, the only thing I really know from SmackDown, we finally got to crown a Intercontinental Champion. But do you want to shed some light on the Intercontinental Champion?
I honestly, I didn't even watch it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I was so, like, disgusted with Raw that I just skipped SmackDown because I was like, this is just.
Well, I guess I can touch on a little bit because this is the one thing I pay attention to because they were doing this whole tournament. It was for the Intercontinental title. We had a Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles match. It was pretty decent from what I've seen.
40 minutes.
AJ Styles is now the new Intercontinental Champion on SmackDown, and it's kind of good to see AJ Styles back. Turns out AJ Styles isn't a part of the whole wild card rule, wherever the fuck they're calling it now. He's officially back on SmackDown full time.
Yeah. He's
not going anywhere else. I guess, and then going back to your segment you said during NXT about Paul Heyman, I guess him and Paul Heyman did not see eye to eye on many things, which led to him going back to SmackDown, which maybe even ultimately led to Paul Heyman possibly losing his job as the writer on Raw.
But here's the weird thing about the whole situation. The major thing that AJ Styles didn't like about Paul Heyman was that he wanted to give these underutilized talents more of a spotlight, like Drew Gulak, right? He wanted to give them more of a spotlight. He wanted to let them wrestle. Like, he really liked Aleister Black. He wanted to push Aleister Black. Personally, I love Aleister Black. That's probably one of my favorite characters, like, on TV right now. I think if he was in a different company like AEW, I think that he would really be something to contend with. Instead of doing these stupid dark interviews where he's like in a back, like, knock on my door type of shit, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it makes zero sense. But
but I mean, I think the guy is very, very good, and I think that Paul Heyman just, like, dude, he's been doing this for how long? Like, he knows talent, and, like, to see, like, I don't know, like Sami Zayn get pushed and shit. You know what I mean? Like, that was all Paul Heyman who like wanted that shit to happen.
Well,
So
the thing is you're making a lot of references to Paul Heyman, and you're referencing all these SmackDown guys. He wasn't
Yeah, I
any
know.
part of SmackDown.
Well, no, I don't know. Like he kind of was. He kind of like he had input on SmackDown though because those guys were crossing over to Raw and SmackDown.
I'm gonna have to go on your word here, but I don't think that's true. Just don't think it's true. So let's get into. Well, how about you tell us about Backlash? You're the WWE guy of our show, unfortunately, because you got stuck with the shitty end of the stick. But
yeah.
How about you just break down? Just talk about the matches, and the results and whatnot, and then we'll do our challenge, and then we'll have to end the episode.
I mean, there really wasn't a lot of matches, to be honest with you. It was Apollo Crews versus Andrade. Apollo Crews won. I'm glad of that.
Good.
Bayley and Sasha versus Iconics versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Sasha Banks and Bayley won. No surprise there. Yeah, no, not really surprised.
I thought the Iconics were going to win that match.
I think it's going to be a one-on-one. It's going to be a tag team match where it's like 2v2. That's when they're going to win. Asuka versus Nia Jackson ended in a double count-out. I don't know why that happened. It makes them both look weak. It's just a shitty way to do it, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because all you're doing is just leading it out to the next pay-per-view where Asuka's probably going to end up dropping it to Nia, and they just wanted to make sure Asuka had a longer title run, and that was it. Braun Strowman versus Miz and Morrison. Braun Strowman won. Not really surprised there either.
Did it by himself?
Yes, it was a 2-on-1, which makes both of them look really weak. So, again, I don't know. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. Take a guess who won.
Drew McIntyre.
Yep. Didn't even watch it, That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so 50-50 with this booking that you can literally say you could have picked either one of those, and I guarantee you would have been like, if you just said Bobby Lashley, I'd have just looked at you like, what? No, that's the next match.
All right. What's the next one?
Yeah. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Sounds like a pretty boring show.
Yeah. I mean,
no title changes.
I'm sorry.
The only exciting thing you really have was the Intercontinental.
There was two more matches. I'm sorry.
Oh.
There's two. There was Edge and Orton that happened. From what I understand, I guess it was a really good match. Like, it's worth watching on YouTube or whatever. And then there was Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus, which my take on the whole Jeff Hardy situation.
I watched that promo from SmackDown, and it was just fucking weird.
You want to know what's really crazy about it? Sheamus won. Doesn't make any sense.
So what did you really prove there with Jeff Hardy then?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing at all.
Well,
and with Edge and Orton actually ended up beating Edge, which also didn't make any sense.
Well, I think, and I'm gonna say this now, and I love wrestling. I do it so much. I can't talk WWE anymore. Like I said it 2 episodes ago, but I think officially, like, we're just gonna do the Wednesday Night Wars.
I don't really see the point in talking about Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, because it literally, like, it makes my brain hurt even thinking about it.
I mean, if there's a pay-per-view, I think we should talk about it. Like, I think that in your house, we should have talked about more.
No,
because it was honestly really good.
And I'm going to say this live in front of our fans who watch us. From now on, we are now doing just the Wednesday Night Wars, and we're going to talk about independent wrestling. Though there isn't a whole lot of independent wrestling going on right now due to this whole COVID-19. So you are now in charge of NXT. I am now in charge of AEW. 1 show a week. We will still bring it to you guys every Sunday. And that kind of helps me out a little bit. It's tough trying to do 2 shows at one time. Plus, I'm doing already like 3 shows as it is between all of us. So it makes it a little bit easier on the research. So you guys hear it first. WWE is officially gone from the AJW podcast. As of 6/14/2020. Upload date 6/15/2020. You heard it here first from the AJW podcast. We won't cover wrestling. We want to cover fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, other than NXT, I just don't think it's really worth it.
So
I mean, unfortunately, I have to listen to their announcer talk, which I can't stand him. But
So we made a challenge last week. Favorite wrestling city. I have mine picked out already. I don't know how long it took you. It can't be Pittsburgh. So if you had to choose a really popular wrestling city, what is your choice?
To be honest with you, it's still in PA. I picked Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. That's a very good choice, actually.
I feel like
Why
Philadelphia, because I feel like there's a lot of wrestling history there with like ECW, and like I think like the fans there are really passionate whenever you like see a show go on there.
They really
that
are
and
there.
it's close enough to where I can drive to it.
I've been to a show in Philadelphia before. I will say the atmosphere is a lot different than it is in Pittsburgh. I don't know. I don't want to say it feels violent, but it's just like you feel an energy that just makes you just want to go all in. Yeah. So that's the only nice thing you ever hear me say about anything in Philadelphia.
Yeah, me too.
But my choice is Chicago. Being someone who goes to Chicago a lot, I mean, they have their own pro wrestling tees store in Chicago. That's the mecca for pro wrestling tees in Chicago. I didn't get a chance to go to All Out. I was actually going to try going to this year, but with COVID, I don't think that's really going to be much of an option for me this year. But I know I went to the All Out party, and you met a lot of really cool fans, not just from Chicago, but all around the world. And they all just grouped up there, and it was a really neat time. I had a blast in Chicago. And they also hold a lot of the best events there. All Out was there. All In was there. I mean, it's going to be – the Chicago is probably a big name for AEW, and they really push for AEW wrestling. So that'd be my choice as far as the greatest city. So that was my challenge for this week, Matt. How about you give us – oh, also, before I even say that, what are your guys' wrestling cities? Drop it down in the comments. We need to know this shit.
Yeah,
we didn't get no comments last time. I think we got some comments, but we didn't get comments about the challenge. Answer the challenge, guys. Wrestling cities down below. Get ready for next week's challenge, which Matt's going to tell us about right now. What is our challenge for next week, Matt?
Oh man, that's a hard one because I didn't even think of one. Okay, so what is your? I know what your favorite finishing move is for a wrestler. Whatever. So favorite finishing move for a wrestler, it can either be one you've already talked about, which, you know, like we all know, like you're a big Razor Ramon fan, so it can either be
I'll do it without Razor.
Okay.
Right. I'll do it without the favorite wrestler.
You want to do like top three?
We do top three
finishers. Okay, that works. All right.
So all right, top three favorite finishers. I want to hear it down in the comments below. Make sure you guys we're trying to get about 20 likes on this video as well. You guys have been crushing the likes button. I think right now we're averaging about 5 or 6 a video, which is fantastic. But I want to get up there just a tidbit more. Just a tidbit more. 20 or 30 likes would be perfect. 20 preferably, 30 if you guys are feeling really awesome.
I did want to say one more thing too before we cut out. I love the fact that a lot of the wrestlers in both companies, like AEW and WWE, are like really supporting like the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh, for sure.
I know like Big E and Kofi Kingston. I mean, obviously they are, African American, like that's cool, but like they really like went for it and like did a kneel with like their fist raised, like that was really, really cool.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, because I mean, like I'm just glad that like they're not afraid. That I'm glad that WWE is giving them the leniency to be able to support a movement like that. So I think that's really cool.
And that's the last thing we'll say about WWE for the rest of our time on AJW, unless we're referring to something else.
That's the last nice thing we'll say about WWE.
It's going to be like the Diary of the Depressed Pirates fan, which I talk about often, but it's coming, people. It's coming. That's it for this video. Matt, where can people find you on your social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Matthew Mounts, or you can find me on Facebook at Don't Find Me on Facebook.
And you can find me on Twitter at the Ghost Named Greg, or at Ghost Named Greg on Twitter, the Ghost Named Greg on Instagram, and twitch.tv/the Ghost Named Greg. I hope to see you guys in my streams. Make sure if you have any comments, leave them down below. We want to hear your top 3 favorite finishing moves, your favorite wrestling city, and your thoughts on this show itself. Thumbs up the video, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.